I started in July of 1993, and I actually moved from Phoenix, Arizona to Atlanta because working for the Olympics was a dream job for me. The excitement was palpable, and the neat thing about the Olympics is it brings together people from all over the world for that common cause and that common goal of those 17 days. It was an amazing experience to work with former Olympians and folks who were on loan from some of the sponsors like Xerox and IBM, and so we had kind of the cream of the crop working for the Olympics at that time. So it was really a privilege and an honor to be a part of it and to really see how it all came together so well. I was new to Atlanta when I moved there in '93, and so watching all the venues be completed and hearing about all of that and really being a part of that. I was not on site at the time of the bombing. I had my shift for the first week was the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. So I had worked overnights for the first week and then had Friday the 27th off. And as coincidentally, the next day, the 28th, was my daughter's first birthday. And so Friday night, we'd had a birthday celebration at home for my 1-year-old, and she had her first cake, which was her first sugar and her first caffeine and chocolate icing, and so she was having a serious sugar buzz that night. I'll never forget that. And I was to report back at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning and work my 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift for the rest of the duration of the games. And so I'd had Friday off to kind of reset and celebrate my daughter's birthday, and we were up late. She was on this sugar buzz and walking around the living room, dragging her little blanket, sucking her thumb, walking around in circles. I can still picture it just like yesterday because she just turned 21 last week, and the phone rang, and it was the night supervisor who had called to say, don't report at 6 a.m. in the morning. There's been a bombing. People have been killed and injured, and we're part of the crime scene, and we'll call you. And I remember turning on the TV and watching Tom Brokaw, I believe, broadcast live from Centennial Olympic Park, and just remember the chaos and just the disbelief that this could have happened. The most memorable thing about that day for me was at the front entrance gate, which was right off a main thoroughfare in Atlanta. Someone came in and accidentally set down a backpack, and the security immediately locked us down. So I had my little walkie-talkie, and they called and said, Millie, we want you to go to the back gate. Don't let anybody in or anybody out. And so I remember thinking, okay, that's gonna be harder than I think it's gonna be in my little uniform with my hat and my walkie-talkie. So I went back to the back gate and was trying to be very official and tough. Suddenly 2 men rushed towards me coming from Centennial Olympic Park, and I'm standing there assuming the posture of, I'm gonna have to stop these 2 men. And one of them was panicked. I could see the panic on his face, and he said, could we please cut through? Our car is parked just on the other side, and we need to get to our car. And I explained as politely as I could, I'm sorry, I can't let you. And I said, there is a way that you can go around the perimeter. And he said, I'm Richard Jewell. The media is after me now. Can you please help me? The name didn't mean anything to me at that point, but I could see he was somebody who needed help. And so I called back up on my walkie-talkie and had somebody come to replace me. And so I spent just 10 minutes walking with he and the man who was his media handler at that point, walking around about a 2-block perimeter to get him back to his car. And it was in those few moments that I realized who he was, and had a brief conversation with him and had an opportunity to thank him that he had been vigilant the night before, because he's the one who recognized there was a suspicious backpack, cleared the area, and probably saved many lives. Those 17 days were that's what everybody was focused on. And so for those of us who were at Centennial Olympic Park and, were shut down for 3 days because of the bombing, we felt robbed by that. It's you can't work that hard towards something and then lose a part of it unexpectedly and not grieve that loss. I have a brick with my name on it there in Centennial Olympic Park. That was one of the ways they raised the money, is by selling bricks. So somewhere in 10,000 bricks or so, my brick is there. But it's still such a neat venue, still to this day. And I'm so glad that people will remember that there was a tragedy that struck during the 1996 Olympics, but that's not what people remember the most. We never want that to be what people focus on. And so, we're just hopeful that, I hope and pray that the games in Rio will just be full of happy memories.